Welcome back to another Top Floor Women replay. I'm Melanie Ake, founder of Everyday Leaders, co-founder of Scale for Women, and co-sponsor for Top Floor Women. Top Floor Women is Indy's Southside premier networking community. We've had such a great turnout for our live in-person networking events. We meet the first Wednesday of every month. You can go to topfloorwomen.org to register for our monthly programs. You can become a coffee sponsor or register to be a speaker and share your expertise. You can watch the replay right here, right now. Thank you for being a part of our growing Indy Southside premier women's networking events. Welcome, you guys. This is awesome to have you here this morning. Top Floor Women is growing. We have been meeting live for 1 year. It was in September, I think. Amber Fields opened it last year. We are growing. We had 60 people register last month, and it just continues to build out. And so we want to be in this space as long as we can. And we will just, have chairs if we need to. But thank you for coming this morning. Remember to follow us at topfloorwomen.org for all the updates. It's always the first Wednesday of every month. So bring your friends. And this month we are excited because one of our co-sponsors, Angie Redmon, is going to be presenting today. Couple of things. If you want to be a coffee sponsor, you get the first few minutes to talk about your business. Today, it's Christine Schaub from AccuPay. So she's going to share a little bit with us. You can also follow. We record all of these, so you can go to the YouTube channel. It's on the Top Floor Women site under kind of where the schedule is. Click that link, and you can go and see all of the previous speakers. Okay? So if you can't make it one time, I want you here. But if you would like to go back and review, we've got some great speakers that have been in our lineups, including today. So Christine, I will let you take this away. Yeah.
Good morning, ladies. I'm from AccuPay. We process payroll and handle HR needs that you might have. We are here located in Greenwood. We do have over 1,100 clients that we service, and the owner of the company is a retired CPA who helps his clients as well with tax questions. And we do have a pretty high retention rate with our clients. We just put out a survey, and 386 of them rated us a 98% with customer service. And one thing that kind of sets us apart is if you choose us for your payroll needs, you have a dedicated payroll processor that works directly with you instead of calling in to a place, which I think people have really thought that was helpful to have one person that they speak with, in addition to the owner being a CPA who does give a lot of tax advice to his clients as well. And he also, this would be something just for people that want the information. He puts out some emails twice a month typically that would go out and talk about local or changes in taxes or things that might relate to you. For example, he just wrote one about if anyone here saves money for college, there's some changes for the 2024 year about how you can use the 529 money and how the state of Indiana has increased the quantity of money you can put in that account. It can also be used for education purposes for your children to go to private schools. If you are continuing your education, it can be used for that as well. So there's just a lot of articles there that he just writes to just because he loves to learn and to get out to the community. One thing also is we don't charge for onboarding you as a client to us, and we don't make you sign a contract. So if for some reason if we're not a good fit, then we want you to be happy where you are. So anyway, if you ever want to make a change, or if you are new to a business and want more information about AccuPay, I do have some brochures. We are running a end of year incentive, as well as if you have any questions, just let me know. Or if you want on that email list, just give me your business card and I will put you on the list that the emails will go out to you once or twice a month. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Christine. Our coffee sponsor next month is Mary Brown, and she is not here today, but she'll be on the website. So if you do register to be a coffee sponsor, you get a whole month of advertising on our website when people are signing up too. So Without further ado, so I don't think that I introduced myself. To those of you that I haven't met yet, I'm Melanie Ake, and my company is Everyday Leaders. We have Joe Ake Studios in the back that records all of our segments for us so that you guys can enjoy these after the live. Angie Redmon, I'm going to turn it over to you now for you and Julie to take this. Oh, so sorry, Shannon. Shannon, our host,
Aw,
JP
Shannon.
the Geek, JP the Geek. We do so much. Get up here, girl.
I won't let you pet Lily
you.
anymore.
I couldn't see you. You were camouflaged over there.
Like blending in, like this stocky zebra. You know. Thank you all for coming today. This is the fabulous office I get to work in. I'm Shannon. I'm the director of client relations at JP the Geek, and I'm just so happy to welcome you guys here every month. We are a managed IT and cybersecurity company, so we take the burden of managing your computer systems, your network systems. We take all of that off your plate so that you can focus on your business, and we can manage all of those. My computer's not working. My printer's not working. So, but we also have a very...
I was going to say my battery's
your
about to explode.
Laptop's about ready to explode. But we also have a heavy focus into cybersecurity because, as you probably are aware, especially those who were here last month, cyber attacks unfortunately are on the rise. And so we do hear about the casinos getting hit and the hospitals getting hit, but what we don't hear about are the small to medium-sized businesses, which actually are a major target for cyber criminals because those businesses don't build up their protective walls. They're easier to get into. They're more apt to pay the ransom because they need to get their business materials back. And I hate to say it, small to medium-sized businesses are the guinea pigs for the cyber criminals. This is where they're testing their new ways of getting into people's computers before they go to the casinos and the hospitals and everything. So we really do help small to medium-sized businesses build that protective barrier and make it more of a challenge for them to try to get in. We are actually hosting a lunch and learn on November 16th, specifically for people who are in the financial world. In June of this year, the FTC released new safeguard rules specifically for people who have that really secure information for their clients, social security numbers, bank account numbers, credit information, all of that. They have new regulations for those businesses, and they are in effect. So if a company is in that industry and they experience a breach, they not only have all of the financial woes of the breach itself, but each one of these 9 safeguard rules come with a $100,000 fine from the FTC. So what we're doing is we're going to be hosting a presentation to review what these safeguard rules are to make sure that businesses in those industries have those things in place and are protecting themselves as best as possible. So it's a lunch and learn, free lunch. It'll be on November 16th. If you are interested in attending, I left my business cards over there. Or if you want to learn more about your business and your current cybersecurity, my cards are over there. I'd love to talk to you, and please keep coming back. We love hosting this, and please take time to meet my new account executive, Heather, in back, and our new director of marketing, Lila, over there. So they're both working on building up their network connections. So please, before you leave today, make sure you connect with them. So thanks so much. Oh, and by the way, I'm putting you two on the spot today.
All right. Angie, you're hooked up. We're ready to go. All right. So,
Joe, am I good? Awesome.
great.
Thank you.
We'll welcome you, Julie.
It's
Pitts
fun
and Angie
going
Redmon.
from the
Thank you.
co-facilitator to a presenter. I like this. Melanie had been kind of giving me the nudge to get up and talk with all of you, and it was intentional that I waited until this month to have this presentation. Raise your hand, and I'm hoping most of you have heard of this. Best places to work, top workplaces, that sort of thing. Okay, that's why Julie and I are here. We're here to educate you on why this is important, why your organization would want to be a best workplace, and why you should consider wanting to work for organizations that are a best workplace. So Recruitment marketing is extremely important when you look at this landscape, and that's why I really wanted Julie to partner with me on this presentation. On my way here today, I saw an organization, a manufacturing facility that had a big banner hanging from the building that had the best places to work logo, their logo, and now hiring. If that doesn't speak to recruitment marketing, I don't know what does. So I'm going to turn it over to Julie, but two things. First of all, you each have a piece of paper in front of you. You all have. Julie and I hosted an event a few weeks ago, and we got so many compliments that this form was helpful that I wanted to share it with all of you. How many times do you go to an event? You either take notes, you don't implement them, you met somebody, you forgot to write down their contact info. So this is just a sheet for you. Write down 3 things you learned today, 3 things you want to implement when you get back to your office, and 3 new contacts that you made. So hopefully this form is helpful. And we are doing a giveaway, so I'm going to pass this basket around. If you haven't already put your business card in, do so. And we've got some 3x5 cards. If you don't have one, we can get you set up. So without taking up any more time from Julie, I'm going to turn it over to her.
Okay. Good morning, ladies. Good morning. Walking in front of my thing. I am Julie Pitts. I am with a company called Insperity. I gotta figure out how to work this laptop because it's not mine. I have over 20 years experience in recruiting, talent management, business development, and employee engagement. And that's really important because my background really has facilitated my expertise, my knowledge, and my excitement about what I'm going to talk about today. I still can't read it. I currently help small to mid-sized businesses with a lot of different things, kind of similar to AccuPay, but we're a much larger company. We are a $6 billion company. We are a national organization. We help small to mid-sized businesses streamline all of their HR processes and resources. So if you think about payroll, you think about the technology that you're using to onboard and manage the entire employee life cycle from hire to retire, and you think about the medical benefits that you maybe can't afford on your own, or it's becoming more challenging as a small business. Those are the things that we do to help small businesses be extremely successful all over the country. We have 100 offices nationally, publicly traded company. Our CEO, Paul Sarvati, actually founded an industry called PEO, which is Professional Employer Organization Industry. He founded that in 1986. So Insperity has been around a long time. We are doing great things all over the country, and I work here in the central Indiana area, helping companies deploy better attraction and retention tools through some of the different service offerings that we provide. So a quick overview today, we're going to cover these 4 things. We're going to cover recruitment marketing, and we're also going to cover job seeking trends. How many of you are looking for a job? Okay, a couple of you, great. And if you are, but you don't want to raise your hand, that's okay too. Hopefully this will help you. How many of you are either somewhat responsible or recruiting and retention is really heavy on your mind? Okay, awesome. So we're going to talk about some of those things. We're also going to talk about the hiring process, both the employer side and the candidate side, because it's really, really important that we talk about what that looks like, because it's broken on both sides, frankly, and we need to get better at this. And then technology, although I spelled technology incorrectly, I apologize, technoloy. So we're going to talk about technoloy today. No, we're going to talk about technology and really how important having the right technology is for your business when it comes to recruiting and retention, and then obviously retention. So where are all the good candidates? I'll bet a lot of you who are doing hiring are asking yourselves that question today, right? And then on the flip side, where are all the good jobs? Like, I see this on LinkedIn all the time. I see people, hey, I just got a new job. Yay, happy me. And then I look at it and I'm like, where'd you find that job? Like, my job is to know where all the jobs are so I can go talk to those companies, right? That's part of what I do. So when I see jobs that I never saw, I'm like, where'd you find that job? I'm happy, yay for you, but like, where'd you find it? So I bet a lot of you are wondering, where are all the good jobs? So we're going to talk a little bit about recruitment marketing. I have a tremendous passion for this, and we're going to talk about the evolution of it. Back in the 1900s, we started with newspapers. How many of you remember sitting on your living room floor on Sunday afternoons going through the newspaper and either highlighting, circling, check marking, having a notebook next to you going, oh, look at this job, I get to work here. Yep, that's where recruitment marketing started, newspapers. We're a little bit past that now, but not going kind of the next level, job boards and career sites. I have had the great, I'm pounding on this little mic that he needs. I've had the great opportunity to work for two pioneers in an industry. One was the person who started the job board industry. His name was Bill Warren. He started a company called Online Career Center back in 1989, and that was before the internet was something really, really big, right? Eventually, Monster.com bought out Online Career Center. That was back in 1998. So in 1999, we became one company. But I have had the great pleasure of working for two pioneers in two different industries. I remember when job boards went live, and I was like, got my newspaper, I'm good. So we went from job boards, and then people started posting their jobs on their career sites, right? Because the web became a thing. So we started posting jobs on career sites. How many of you have looked for a job on a career site or on somebody's website and you can't find the career site? Some companies make it impossible. And that is a huge mission of mine, is we've got to make those bold and big and prominent, because if you are hiring, let me back up. A lot of companies right now, because we're in fourth quarter, are budgeting for next year. I was talking with a company recently. They're a therapy company, and they're in the middle of budgeting, and they're planning to hire 40 to 50 people next year. They're already planning that now. You know, this was, I actually spoke with them in October, so we're going to go back a whole month as of yesterday. No, but a whole month. But literally, it's the beginning of October, so I was talking with them, and they were like, yeah, we've got 40 or 50 jobs we have to fill next year. We're not sure how we're going to do it. They've got to be thinking about things a little bit differently. And I asked them, I said, so when I go to your site, it's hard to find the career section on there. And they're like, really? I mean, they don't think about that. They don't think that that's a primary tool that they need to use. Also, mobile apps and texting, that's become obviously really, really popular. I have an 18-year-old son. He graduated from high school in May, and he is on his third job. Yay. Because he was not college bound and he did not need to go to college. But he has used texting. He's used mobile apps. The poor kid has been through more payroll things on his mobile apps. Like, he's had 3 different payroll companies. Like, Mom, this one's different. I said, I know. They all use different ones. I'm sorry. You're going to have to get used to it if you keep bebopping around. But anyway, texting is a thing. You know, they've texted my son, not now because he does have a job right now. Stay. But when he was looking, he would get these texts, right? Hey, can you apply to this? And there'd be a link, and then he'd click through the link, and then it would all go through his phone. So he's sitting there on his phone. I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be looking for a job because for, you know, some unemployment in there. And he's like, I am. It's right here. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, that's a real thing. And then, of course, we have LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter. How many of you know that LinkedIn used to be more of a networking site, and how many of you know now that it's like the biggest job board? Yep. I mean, it's crazy how you go on there, and everybody knows that LinkedIn and Indeed are the most expensive job boards out there, right? Because if you try to post a job on LinkedIn, it's ridiculous. And unless you post yourself and you put in your comments or whatever, hey, here's a link to my website if you can find the career section on my website, and if you can find the job. But the good news is, people are getting smarter about how they use LinkedIn, right? But that's where we are today. This is recruitment marketing. So what are some things that you need to know about it? First of all, the way that I think about it is, and I have a background in marketing as well, and when I was doing strictly I used to work for a marketing agency, so when you said, I'm like, oh yeah, we can like talk about that. Anyway, what I used to do is I used to help companies figure out how to have better marketing strategies and how to make sure that they had leads coming to their websites, right? Well, we can do that with recruiting as well. If we are proactive in how we are reaching out to prospects, you know, if you are this lady that I spoke with this therapy company, she's got 50, jobs she has to fill next year, what should she be doing right now? She should be looking for that talent. Exactly. She should be looking for those people and start doing cadences and making sure she's keeping them warm in her pipeline, even if they're not looking for jobs. because you don't know what's going on inside any company. People could be miserable. I mean, we all know the number one reason people leave companies is why? People, culture, what else? Boss. Yep. That's the number one reason. People's number two, culture's number three. So great job, ladies. But if we are proactive about finding that talent and keeping them kind of engaged in a lot of different things that we're doing, we are going to develop better culture for our companies, first of all, because we're going to be focused on targeting those specific people we want to bring to our companies. And we're not going to be doing the hope and pray, right? I'm going to post this job, and I'm going to hope and pray that somebody shows up that I can hire. Not, because if it's this lady with the therapy company, right? She's looking for ABA therapists. She's looking for speech and OT and that kind of thing. She can't take a truck driver. She just can't. She can't take my son who works at Papa John's right now. She can't take those people, even if they apply, and they do apply, and we all know that. We've seen those resumes. It's kind of crazy. But if we want to develop a really good culture, part of that has to do with how we are telling our story. And that goes to the brand promotion. If we are telling our story effectively or appropriately, then we're going to be exuding the brand that people are going to be driven to. They'll be like, I want to work for that company. How many of you want to work for Salesforce? Not one hand goes up, right? Why?
You got a headache.
Yes, exactly. What else?
It's too big, and they've gone 100% remote, and I don't like that.
Yep. Their culture has tanked. And people don't know when they're going to be laid off. My next door neighbor used to work for Salesforce, and he worked on the for-profit side. He got laid off, but got moved over to the nonprofit side, and then he got laid off again. And he was a programmer. He wasn't in sales or marketing or anything. He was a programmer. They need programmers. It's Salesforce. Come on, it's technology. So promoting your brand and making sure that you're working for a company that you want to work for that is fun. And it doesn't have to have Lily. Lily's great. It doesn't have to have Lily, but Lily is awesome. Applicant tracking systems are critical when you are looking for talent, right? They are also critical for how you are applying for jobs. If you don't have your resume formatted in the most boring way possible, truly, because I'm very guilty of this. My resume used to be very pretty, and it had all the bolding and all the formatting and everything. And I found out through research that ATS systems would kick me out. Yep, they don't want me. Well, they don't want my resume. I don't know if they want me or not. But ATS systems are super important. And then, obviously we talked about job boards and LinkedIn. That's still a thing. We still need that. Because there are times where somebody quits and we didn't expect that, or they decide that they're going to retire. We didn't expect that either. And so we still need to post jobs. We still have to, because that's the reactive versus the proactive that we just can't avoid, right? One of my coworkers recently resigned, and it was very unexpected. And so when he resigned, it was like, oh crap. First of all, we had not done a good job of keeping our pipeline full so we could fill it faster. But secondly, we didn't expect him to quit. So that was more reactive. Okay, we got to get candidates in here. We got to post a job. And so our recruiter started posting jobs, and she was putting stuff all over social media and tagging all the Indianapolis world. And then referrals and, existing employees. I know that can sound scary, because you can sit here and think, well, we're going to create a culture of all the same people. But like my very, very, very best friend is an accountant. We've been best friends since 8th grade. If she and I worked in the same company, we'd be in different departments. We would be doing different things. We think about things very differently, but we look like sisters, actually. It's kind of funny. But, and that was true back when we were 14. But your existing employees are one of your best resources for good people. And taking referrals to get those people, also very important. And on the flip side, as if you're looking for a job, quietly or not so quietly, asking your friends who are working for companies and they're happy there, hey, what do you have there? I'm looking for X. Is there anything there? I was talking with somebody recently. It's a sign company up on the north side, and they hired somebody. They didn't have a job opening. This guy walked in, and said, I was working for this sign company. I'm unhappy there. I've heard great things about your culture here. They also have a Lily there. Max is over there. Anyway, I've heard great things about your company. I'd love to talk to you. They hired that guy because he was really good at what he did, and they felt like he's going to fit their culture. They didn't have a job opening. So that guy knew about, going back up to brand promotion and culture, he knew about their culture. He had seen their brand out there because he probably competed against it, right? And he was like, I want to work for that company, so I'm just going to be bold, and I'm just walking in. Hi, I'm here, and you need to hire me. But I think that that's really cool, and we need to do more of that, ladies, because that was a guy, right? How many of us are bold enough to go do that? Exactly. Come on. We can do this. Sorry, I have to save that for band. My youngest son is in marching band, and I get really excited about that. Anyway, according to the JobVite Employee Quarterly Insights report from Q3 2022, 85% of talent acquisition professionals indicate the average time to hire is 4 weeks or less. I would contest that. How many of you would contest that? I mean, unless you're working at McDonald's, and frankly, all you have to do is be able to walk, chew gum, and have ID. And I'm not kidding, because that was my oldest son's very first job. When they talked to him, they said, bring in 2 forms of identification. Like, he had one conversation, bring in 2 forms of identification, and they hired him on the spot because he's an intelligent young man, and he is very well spoken, because we didn't introduce tablets for my boys until they were much older, so we made them read books too. I'm an old mom of younger people, and I'm old school. But anyway, I believe that that's a little bit false. So let's talk about job seeking trends. How are you finding jobs? Are you finding jobs? Oops, it didn't go. Did it go? Job boards and career sites. Yep, there we go. Job boards and career sites. How many of you are finding jobs, who are looking for jobs, or quietly looking for jobs, on job boards or career sites? How many of you, like we were talking about earlier, those career sites are hard to find. As employers, I beg you, go look at that. And if you want help with that, I help people with that on the side, figuring out how to make that look better and how to really make that prominent. So let me know. Mobile apps and texting. How many of you are using mobile apps and texting to look for a job? Some are, some aren't. And honestly, it's not industry specific. It's all over the place. And then obviously LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter. Anybody know of any other good job boards that you can use for looking for professional jobs?
Indiana Career Connect.
Is that a good one? Okay. Good. No, that's good to know. Especially in Indiana, because, you know, if you are wanting to live here.
It's free and it's all over the state.
Good. That's good to know. And then again, we talked about referrals. I kind of got ahead of myself because I get so excited about what I talk about. What's important to you? How many of you love flexible work? How many of you during the pandemic were like, I'm never going back to an office? My husband works for a financial services company up in Carmel, but he doesn't go to Carmel anymore. He's been in our 4th bedroom for the last 3.5 years. And I don't think he's ever leaving. I think he's there forever. But flexible work has become a real thing, right? We need to be able to manage our families, manage ourselves, you know, do the things that we found during the pandemic when we were all at home that we forgot we love to do. Like walk our dogs, or, you know, do at-home yoga because we couldn't go to a yoga studio, or whatever it is. You know, we found that there were things that we forgot we loved to do. And so flexible work is really important. The next one is virtual interviews. How many of you had to have a virtual interview? I interviewed for a job about 4 years ago. Oh my word. First interview was 1 person, that was fine. Second interview was 5 panelists and me. And this is all over Zoom, right? Because back then we were still afraid to be together. The next one was 10 panelists and me. And I had 1 hour each. And I got about 3 minutes at the end to ask my slew of questions. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But virtual interviews are not going anywhere, right? I think they're really good for the first interview. Maybe the second interview, but after that, you got to go in person. You got to go see where, unless it's a remote opportunity, right? If they're based in Texas or California or somewhere else, obviously you're going to do mostly virtual interviews. I was talking with a CEO yesterday who runs a marketing agency, and he has clients all over the country that he has acquired since the pandemic. He's never met in person. And I told him, I said, you need to get on a plane. He's got some in New England. He's got some in California. He has them all over the country. You need to get on a plane and go meet those people because they are paying for your business. He goes, that's a good point. Like, virtual's good to a degree. Purpose-driven roles. How many of you decided it's time to do what you love, not what you have to do? Yes, we all have to do something to make money. But doing what you love, and I used to teach this to salespeople a long time ago. Actually did this once. I worked for a small company called Hallmark. I don't know if you've heard of Hallmark greeting cards. Pretty small company. Yeah, they're still around. Yes, they managed to survive the pandemic. Anyway, I worked for a subsidiary of theirs down in Bloomington, Indiana, and I was the director of sales for all of the United States and Canada. And they hired me to clean house. That was fun. So on probably within my first month, I brought my sales team in. And I'm like, how many of you can't wait to get up in the morning and sell our greeting cards? And they were like, are you going to fire us? I'm like, no. Here's the thing. This was 20 years ago, ladies. If you don't have a passion for what you do, don't do it. Don't do it, because you're going to come in and you're going to go, oh, Lord, here we go. I've got to read this book today. This is my book, by the way. That's why I picked it up. I didn't pick up Angie's. I picked up mine. I got to read chapter 4 about recruiting. Oh, my gosh. I don't want to read this book. Whereas you might be going, I work for Culture Impact. We're pretending this is a company now. I work for Culture Impact. Yeah, page 51. And we are so excited to get to page 51, which I can't see because I have my glasses on. Ooh, I'm almost there, I think. Yeah, I'm in the 50s, so that's something. Anyway, we need purpose in our roles, and we need to be passionate about what we do. And I will tell you that a lot of those individuals did go see our HR team after that meeting and said, am I going to lose my job? No. And what I said to them also was, if this is not what you want to do, let me know. I'll help you find what you want to do. And it doesn't mean you're going out of Hallmark. It means that we might find something better for you in Hallmark. We put 3 people on our customer service side because they loved working with customers, but they didn't want to sell. They were afraid of the no. And it was the best thing for them. And truly, if you're not passionate about what you do, please don't do it. I'm going to go a little faster because I tend to take too much time. Personal online branding. Make sure that your brand online is up to date. Make sure that you are putting out content, because that's how people find you. I get recruiters frequently sending me love notes through LinkedIn Messenger. And most of them I'm like, no. In-demand candidates have more opportunity to ask for what they want. If you are building your brand on social media, and if you are doing things out there in the world, you're going to be what's considered an in-demand candidate. They're going to want to talk to you. Okay? One of my coworkers gets a lot more recruiters coming after him than I do, and so he would be considered an in-demand candidate. Job trends, or job-seeking trends. Use your network. Understand your needs. Well, that was kind of funny. It went backwards. Understand your needs. Use your network. I'm trying to go a little bit faster. Sorry, Angie. Be flexible. Skill up. If you see a job, little free tidbit, don't be afraid to apply for jobs that you don't have all the skills for. Guys do it all the time. Okay? Don't be afraid to apply for those jobs, because we are just as good as them. Sometimes we're better. But skill up. If there are skills that you need to be working on, make sure that you're doing those like on the side. Ask for the job. Don't be afraid to ask for that job. If it's what you want to do, by all means say, hey, I'm so excited about this opportunity. I really want to work with you. What are our next steps? What are our next steps? I want this job. What does it take for me to be your next whatever you're looking for? Oops, sorry. What's this one? Nearly 57% of organizations plan to offer more flexibility for when or where work is done. 26% offer hiring bonuses. That's a really cool statistic, and I thought that was something super important. So why are we losing candidates? First of all, where are you starting and identifying candidates? If you are not looking in the right places, you're not going to find them. bottom line. And it goes back to that recruitment marketing, right? If you're not actively, proactively building your pipeline, you're gonna have a hard time finding them. Passive versus active versus pipeline. That's what I was just talking about. There are a lot of passive candidates out there. There are a lot of quietly active candidates. And then there are people who frankly don't have jobs right now and through no fault of their own, but they're actively looking. You know, don't be afraid of those people, because there's a lot of talent out there that, you know, got let go from like a Salesforce, right? That was not their fault. Ineffective recruiting processes. We're losing candidates for that 4-week recruiting process, right? No. Oh my gosh, no. Some of them are 4 weeks. Some of them are 6 to 8 weeks. How many of you have patience for a 6 to 8 week recruiting process? I don't. I mean, if I was looking for a job today, there's no way I'd do it. I'd be like, I'm out. The other thing is not engaging with applicants. How many of you have been ghosted by an employer now or at any time? A lot of employers and candidates were ghosting each other, which is not good. We need to stop being Casper, and we need to really get back on it and be intentional and be very communicative. Poor candidate experience. A lot of candidates are bolting during the application process. How many of you have seen a job and you're like, oh, this looks pretty cool, and you go to apply for the job and they want you to fill out a 27-page application and you've already given your resume. Like, your resume tells your story, right? Or it should. But then they want all the details. They want your firstborn's name. They want to know, you know, what city you lived in when you were in 2nd grade. They want to know, you know, all these things. No, you don't need to know that until you hire me. Assess the type of person you need based on the role, your culture, and your goals. This is really, really important, because you obviously don't want to make a bad hire. How many of you know what it costs to make a bad hire and then have to hire again? I'm sorry? A little higher. It's around $75,000 to $100,000 to replace someone. So if you hire somebody, they work for you for 6 months, think about it. You've paid their salary, you've started training them, they leave. You've got to go back through the recruiting process, because you didn't expect them to leave, right? You're starting over. So you're paying, that includes their salary, it includes their benefits and all the other things that you might have done. Exactly. Hire for fit, not the role, like I was kind of talking about earlier. Tap into your passive candidate market. Again, I used to be a third-party recruiter. I called people all the time that were happy in their jobs. And they say, oh, I'm fine. I like where I work. Really? That's not very glowing. That's not a glowing review for me. So if you're happy, you're like me, like, yes, I cannot wait to get up and go to work. If you're not like that, then you are definitely a passive candidate that can be taken from a company. How many steps are there in the process? If you have too many steps in your hiring process, you're going to lose candidates, because there are a lot of other companies out there that are talking to your same candidates. Predetermine who is involved in the hiring process. Don't have too many people involved. That gets too convoluted. You've got too many personalities digging in there and going, oh, well, I think this, well, I think this, well, I think this. Unless you're hiring a CEO, CFO, COO, somebody that's executive leadership and you really need that buy-in, pare that down just a tad. Your interview structure. Again, we were talking about how many virtual interviews are good. 1.5, 1 to 2, and then bring it in. Like, bring them in, because, and I was talking with somebody again yesterday, like Shannon and I, we were just talking about how we see each other on LinkedIn, but it's been a year since we've seen each other in person. We're like, it's good to see you in person. Like, we need to be with people, it's really, really important. And then outdated recruiting technology. If you have outdated technology for recruiting, whether it's your applicant tracking, your human capital management system, I'd love to talk to you. But aside from that, seriously, take a look. And you were saying earlier, and this is absolutely true, if you are not happy where you are, take a look around, because there are plenty of companies out there that can help you make your processes better. 60% of job seekers are unimpressed by time-consuming recruitment processes. So why are candidates dropping out of the hiring process? We've talked about this. Job ghosting both sides, time-consuming application process. I told you I love this. Lack of employer investment, obviously that has happened. Inconsistent communication, where you hear from them and then you don't, and then you hear from them and then you don't, and that's both sides. Too many interviews. The job description and the title don't match. How many of you seen that? You look at the title and you're like, oh, it's director of sales. And then you go through it and you're like, what am I directing? Like, I don't know what I'm not directing sales. I'm directing accounting. And then why are you missing out on opportunities? Your resume not be updated. We talked about that briefly. Make sure your resume is updated and that it's formatted so the applicant tracking systems can see your resume. Otherwise, you're going to get kicked out. Your expectations may be too high. They may be too low. Take a look at that and make sure that you've got your expectations set properly. Under or overqualified. Interview skills need honing. Some people don't interview very often, right? My husband is one of those people. He's had 3 jobs, and we are not young anymore. So that tells you he's one of those loyal people, right? And when he finds a company, man, that guy stays even when he's miserable. And I'm like, get out. So when he goes to interview, he actually works with me because he's a good interviewer, but that's not something that he does a lot. So he needs help with that. Make sure that somebody works with you on that, does a one-to-one interviewing skill session. Predetermine who is involved in the hiring process. And that goes both ways too, by the way. If you are a recruiter, make sure that your interviewing skills are also good. Make sure you're asking really good questions. Not, so where do you plan to be 3 to 5 years from now? No one knows. Predetermine who is involved in the hiring process, and then how many interviews does it really take? If you find somebody you like, don't drag it out. Hire them before somebody else does. Lily agrees. Technology, I'm going to touch on this briefly. 95.5% of respondents want employers to acknowledge they've received their application, and 81.8% want employers to close the loop and inform them if they're disqualified from the job. Absolutely. And then companies have a worrying 80% drop-off rate during their application process. So why is having the right technology important in managing the candidate experience? I'm so glad you asked. Applicant tracking and human capital management systems. We're going to start with ATS. First of all, obviously it collects candidate information. It can filter out good candidates if not set up properly. So if you have an applicant tracking system, go in there and make sure that in the filtered out section, you don't have good resumes in there. Because a lot of times, because of the formatting of people's resumes, because not everybody knows that they need to format their resumes a certain way, they get filtered into the bad pile. Oh my gosh, I need more coffee. The bad pile. So it can filter those good candidates out. So if you're not getting good candidates, go look at your filters and reset them if you need to. And then technology also ensures the right candidates move through the process successfully. If it's set up properly, it can absolutely help you manage that process. It increases the speed of recruiting, and that's really tiny. I'm going to read the bottom part. The apply flow is so important because of the speed of hire that is necessary in today's hiring environment. Companies must streamline their processes. The faster you can get a candidate into the funnel, the faster you can hire them, and that's from Chris Russell, Managing Director of Rec Tech Media. Why is having this important in managing the employee experience? And he says this here. Human capital management systems, one of the things that I have the great privilege of talking with small businesses every day is, how are you managing your employees? Are you doing it manually still with spreadsheets and notebooks and that kind of thing? Or do you have technology in place? And how well is that helping you? How is that working for you? I was talking with somebody yesterday that is working with one of my competitors, and it's another national company, and she was saying, it's not working. They call into an 800 number and they get lost in the void. Quick commercial with Insperity, that doesn't happen. There's no 800 numbers at Insperity, by the way. Even though we're a national company, we don't have 800 numbers. You call directly to your own dedicated team that knows your account. So one of the things that happens against my national competitors is, because they have 800 numbers, these people can't get help. And that's dangerous when you're trying to manage your technology and manage the recruiting process. Good HCM or HRIS systems help identify talent gaps. You can utilize the tools that are embedded within there to help you do that. It also, if you have really good technology and you're using it the right way, it will increase employee retention, because you can use it, you can build your LMS in there, your learning management systems within your technology. You can do a lot of really great things. And this also helps build your culture. Angie's going to talk about that here in just a minute, and how being a best workplace is all about culture. navigates the entire life cycle of a candidate from hire to retire. Single source of employee data. Super important that you have everything in one place, obviously. It provides a tool for the employee to engage in their own career. That's absolutely true. If you have the right technology in place, it should be interactive. It's kind of like an intranet, right? Platform for both employer and the employee to interact. How do I choose the right one? You identify your future HCM requirements. Not what you need today, but what do you need 12 to 24 months from now, and you build from there. Ensure the software you choose is compliant with the law. That is critical because if your technology is not HR compliant and it's going to help you, particularly if you hire nationally, you can find yourself in a little bit of trouble legally. How much time do I have? Am I out of time? I'm out of time, aren't I? Okay, so really fast. Here we go. Retention, look at that. You need to hire people and you need to keep them. That's it. Benefits, clear communication, feeling wanted. It's really, really important. All this is really, really important. And now I'm going to turn it over to Angie, and I'm very, very sorry.
The topic today and the order today was very intentional, as I mentioned earlier. The topic of being a best place to work is because of the timing here in the state of Indiana. If you are not aware already, if you have not applied for Best Places to Work, I can tell you that Best Places to Work and Top Workplaces, the application for employers, it's open right now. Indianapolis is the only city that I'm aware of in the country that runs 2 workplace awards concurrently. And I love that because that really puts an emphasis on making as many employers focused on great cultures. When I talk with a client, they often will tell me that going through this process, the things that they have benefited the most from, recruitment and retention. And that's why I wanted Julie to talk about that today. So, you are fine. Okay.
You just either hit the arrow or click the button.
Okay.
Or you can have me stand here and just say switch.
Click.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many of you got up this morning, if you work for a company, and said, I want to go work for a best place to work, or I want my employer to be the best place to work? You're probably not thinking of that. You are thinking of, I have so many jobs to fill. How do I get my recruitment strategy in place to make that happen? Or I'd really love to work for somewhere that's great, and you're not thinking about going to the best places to work list. So what I want to help explain to you is the best places to work process, the top workplaces process, it's a vehicle to get those outcomes of what you're looking for. So stay with me to the end. I got a few freebies that I definitely want to share with you. So you might be here for a number of reasons, but I believe I have identified 3 reasons why you may have signed up for the event today, other than the fact it's top floor women and you want to be here, which is wonderful. So you may have been here this morning because you wanted to learn some great hiring strategies, and Julie definitely prepared us with a lot of that great information. But you might also be looking for your next opportunity. Julie also gave us a lot of great information on that. So what we're going to talk about through my presentation, we're going to touch on both sides of the fence, but what we're also going to talk about is some strategies for you to help your organization elevate to the status of being labeled as a best workplace. So whatever reason you are here today, I fully support you, and I'm definitely hoping you're going to get some great information out of all of this. So how many of you fall into that one category that you're looking for employees? And how many of you, I tried to look from the side, are looking for your best opportunity? And how many of you thought, what in the world is best places to work? I better go find out about it. That's when you all are supposed to raise your hands right now. So just to tell you a little bit about me, in case some of you I'm just meeting for the first time today. So I have over 25 years experience in the HR world, got all the certifications and that sort of thing. As Julie mentioned, I have authored a book. Our books are bestsellers, by the way, so we're super excited about that. And then I partner with Melanie here with Top Floor Women. Quick sales spiel, and then I promise to get to the goods. I help companies navigate through this entire process of being listed on these organizations' best places lists. Navigate from start to finish, from why do you want to do it to how you make it happen. And spoiler alert, it's more than the trophy. If you are a client and you're going to tell me I'm doing this because I want to have a trophy on my shelf, I'm going to say that's great. Let me find somebody else to work with you on that, because to me it's so much more than just earning that trophy. And then I also do one-on-one coaching with HR professionals. So I'm going to try and share my experiences with you and help pass the baton to you, if you will, on what I've learned about this process so that you can navigate and see if that's something that you would like to do. But I want to tell you a little bit about how I got here. So back in my corporate life, before I started my own business, I went to work for an organization, and the CEO, I had worked for him before at another company, and so he knew I was qualified for the VP of HR job, which he was hiring me for. But I said, okay, I know how to do the job, but in this specific role, how will you determine and measure if I was successful? And he said, you have one job. I want you to make the culture great like it was where we worked before. That was my only task. I thought, great, I've got this sold, no problem here. So I started that job at the 1st of March. At the end of March of that year, person comes into my office. She was the outbound CFO. I'm not really sure how else to say that, but she handed me this folder and said, a few months ago I applied for this new thing called Best Places to Work. I've never heard of it, but here, it's yours now. Had no idea. I had never heard of it either. Back in that time, it really wasn't that prevalent in the state. So I just had that folder sitting on my desk. I go to the snail mail mailboxes and get my mail for that day, and I open up this envelope that says it's from Best Companies Group. I'm like, I don't even know what this is. And I open it up, and I will never forget that first sentence. It says, we regret to inform you your organization is not a best place to work in Indiana. I was standing up when I opened that envelope, and I just sat down when I read that. So 3 things went through my mind. The first and foremost, I have to go tell that CEO about this. And here I am, I'm supposed to make this a great culture, and this is what I have to tell him. Secondly, I had to go tell all the employees. They had filled out the employee engagement survey, and we didn't earn the award. But then third, I had to sit back and say, do I want to work somewhere that isn't the best place to work? So I can tell you, if it was easy, every single employer in the state of Indiana would be listed as the best place to work. And are they? Nope, they're not. But I can tell you it's possible. So it's possible, but in today's market, with everything that Julie just shared for you, it's a must that you at least go through the engagement process and learn about your employees. So as we go through this information I'm going to share with you, I want you to keep in the back of your mind, whether you're an employer or whether you're looking for work, what is your best workplace? Not just about with the company, and I'll explain why we're going to talk about that. If I am talking like an auctioneer, it is intentional because I want to make sure we get through all of this information for you. So
That's my fault.
when I work with a company, just to fully explain, if you've never heard of Best Places to Work or how this process works, this is kind of the strategy, the roadmap that I put a client through, and we're going to touch on each of these items. And the first thing is your why, and we have an expert on your why in the very back of the room, which is Melanie. We're going to talk about that from an employee standpoint, but from an employer standpoint, it's really important to identify why you even want to go through this process. These are the top 5 reasons why companies tell me they want to be a best place to work or a top workplace. Engagement I have is the top, and that's because to me that's one of the most important things. You go through the process when you apply of your employees completing an employee engagement survey, and that's the goal right there. You get that feedback from your employees. Julie's talked about the retention. Definitely helps with your retention, and I can tell you there's countless stats out there that if your employees are happy, your customers are going to be happy too. Credibility in the marketplace. I have a client that I worked with that they do jobs for the government and the RFP process. One of the questions last year was, have you earned an award for your workplace, for your culture? So it's out there. Companies are needing to do that, and by the way, they do now because they made the Best Places to Work list, so yay them. And then it's also a great recruitment tool. Back to the stats. Does this sound familiar of what Julie just talked about, 36 days to fill a job with SHRM? I've been a SHRM member for 25 years, and I can tell you I disagree with that statement. Same data that Julie had as well. And then touching on LinkedIn, and what Julie was talking about as well, that 45% of the jobs are sourced from LinkedIn. I think that number is going to continue to go up, but this is the biggie right here. 80% filled by referrals. If your culture is great, your employees will want to tell everybody else about it. So think about when you're trying to decide what your why is, why you want to do it, what problem are you trying to solve? Are you trying to solve a culture issue? Are you trying to solve a tension issue? Knowing your why is what's going to be the foundation to keep you going through this entire process. So, this is Leo, this is my dog. I had this look on my face when I decided to go out on my own, and let me tell you why. The first thing on there, values. For you to know where you want to go next, you have to identify what you personally value. And why do I say that? When you go out and you interview with companies, you need to make sure there's a strong alignment between your values and the company's values. When I decided to go out on my own, I needed flexibility. I had a mother who was in late stage cancer, 2 kiddos at home, and a husband that traveled out of the country more than he traveled in. I needed flexibility. I was the VP of HR at a public bank, and most of my job put me across the table from regulators and from the FDIC. I'll be the first to tell you, I do want my bank accounts regulated, but when my mom has chemo, I want to go with her. So I needed that flexibility, in my schedule. The other thing I needed was alignment. So as I'm sitting across the table from the FDIC and the regulators, I knew it was important, but it didn't light my fire. What lit my fire was helping employees and helping companies have a great culture with engaged employees. So I set out on my own to be able to do that. Assessments are really an important way, and these are just a few. Talking about assessments, they're great, but it's what you do with them that really matters, for sure. Prior experiences, don't forget about that too. So is there a time when you should not apply for a best place to work or go through any type of employee engagement process with your employees? And I say absolutely. There are times when you should not go through that process. If you have too many projects going on, it may not be the right time. You may be stretched too thin to help your company through that process. And the other thing is, it is a year long. It's not just to fill out the application and move on. You're going to get data about what your employees do and don't like about working at your company that you need to focus on for the entire year. So it is fully a commitment. And how many of you have ever completed a survey at your company and you have no idea what the company did with that data? Has anybody ever been through that process? If you are representing your organization going through this, if you are not willing to tell your employees what you heard, don't even go through the process. Because you know what will happen the next time you give them a survey to complete? They're going to say, no, thank you. You didn't help me the first time, so I will not do it again. So the second thing I want to talk about is trying to decide what award is right for your organization. This is just a few of those out there. There's best places to work, best banks to work for, top workplaces, best finance firms to work for, best IT teams to work for. You really have to go back to your why. Why do you want to go through this so that you know which type of survey you want to apply for? And when you are looking for opportunities, I told you we're going to flip back and forth between the employee and the employer aspect. Don't forget about those lists. When I was back in that corporate role, I had a talent acquisition manager that brought everybody in for us. I tended to not meet people until they were already hired. I was walking down the hallway. We had 3 new employees starting that day. All 3 employees found out about us through the best places to work list. Go to those lists if you are looking for your next opportunity, because those companies have already done the work if you're looking for a great culture. The other thing I can't stress enough is to network. I talk to students, recent college grads. I go in and meet with schools often as well. And I tell them network early and network often, and I say that to the same thing for employers as well. This is the process, the 4 A's process. I'm gonna go through really, really quickly. So if you ever want to talk about this further, let me know. But in the essence of time, it's pretty deep, so I'm going to go through it pretty quick. But the one thing I want to tell you is, what if when I got that letter, I closed it back up and I left? What if I had surrendered and said, I want to work for a company that's not a best place to work? But I tell you what, I didn't. I went into work and I said, challenge accepted, and I am ready to make this company a best place to work. And I'll tell you a little stat about that afterwards here in just a moment. So the 4 A's process, these are the 4 things when I work with a client we go through. The first thing is awareness. We very first talk about their why. Why do you want to be a best place to work, and what do you hope to achieve through that process? Or top workplaces. I have clients that do with both. And it's really important to get your leadership in from day one. And you want them to definitely support you through that process as well. Administration, I'm going to give a little love here to IT and marketing, because when you are going through this, they are going to be on your side and be on your team. If you are going to be the person that is spearheading this initiative for your company, please know you don't have to go at it alone. There's a lot of people within your organization that can help you. I also I've coined the phrase influencers. And the reason for that is if you are a manager and you are not the one that is spearheading this, which is typically HR, you need to be able to speak HR speak to your employees. Because your employees may be sitting there going, oh, HR gave me a survey and I got to complete this, I don't have time to do it. But if you are a manager and you hear your employees say that, I want you to be able to lean over and say, you know what? I understand you have a lot of things to do, but this is why we're doing it as a company, and this is what we plan to do with it. So those influencers can help spread the word for you. And as I talked before, be able to communicate the findings to your employees. The action process, I can tell you when I get employee engagement data back for a client, and I review their detailed reports, I spend about 6 to 8 hours just reading reports for one client. That's how much data there is in this process. And I read every single open-ended comment, and I read every single report and try and make information for my clients based on that. And when I was in the HR seat, I did that as well. Communication plan. I have this listed as number 4, but next to number 1, which is why. This really probably should be definitely up there. When you are communicating about conducting a survey, you want to do it before the survey happens. You want to do it when the survey is going on. You want to do it afterwards, and guess what? 6 months after you did it, you want to talk about it again so that you are constantly revisiting that information. And the reason for that is because 54% of people in the country say they wished their employers would ask them what they thought about working there. That's a Forbes stat that just came out a few months ago. So your employees want to tell you what they think about working there, so give them that avenue to be able to do that. But I will tell you, if I just had a client yesterday, oh my gosh, we're going to do 2 surveys this year, my employees are going to be so fatigued. No, they're not. And the reason they're not is because you need to have a strategy in place to tell them why you're doing this. Employees are going to be much more willing to fill out those surveys if they know what the purpose is behind that. Maintenance formula. This is something that really we're going to talk about from a culture perspective. Whether you are going through this process of conducting employee engagement data, whether you are having a strategy plan within your organization for initiatives that you want to do, be open to feedback, tell your employees what you heard, and then take action based on that. So in a nutshell, that's what that is. And I'm sorry for going through this too fast. But I will tell you, so that letter that I got that said, we're sorry to inform you, you have not been named as the best place to work in Indiana, I can tell you that did not happen again. The next 5 years with that company, we did get best places to work 5 years running, best banks to work for 5 years running, and top workplaces in Indianapolis 5 years running. So I can tell you this stuff works, and I know how to do it for sure. So I think we're probably past 9:30. 9:33. Got it pretty quick. Okay. I do have 2 free resources for any of you out there that have an interest in this. If you are someone that's thinking about applying for a best place to work, where I found this comes in really handy is if you don't really know how to talk to your leadership team about it. That's why I put this together. And if you need help formulating those communications, I'll be happy to help you with that. But this gives you the perks of why you may want to consider becoming an award-winning workplace. And the second item, these are just 10 great ideas of things. I've done all of these, and I've worked with clients who have. If you're trying to boost your culture at your company, just 10 quick ideas that you can get. And as Julie talked about, she and I have both co-authored books, Talent Fusion and Culture Impact. If you've ever had the opportunity to be part of a collective book process, these are multiple chapters, multiple authors over one topic. So we do have these available for you today if you have an interest in purchasing those. But we're also going to give these 2 away. That's why we have...
All right. So thank you guys for being here. Remember, next month it is December the 6th, the first Wednesday. Again, 8 to 8:30 networking. Bring your cards, bring a friend. And if Mary Brown is our coffee sponsor, if you want to be a coffee sponsor for January, sign up. The whole year. And Paula, you are our speaker next month. So, yeah. So we're so we're super excited to honor you, and we have speakers lined up for 2024. If you're interested, get on the list now. So go to topfloorwomen.org and fill out that form, and we will make sure to include you in that. So thank you guys very much. Have a great Wednesday.